pillar of creating alternatives. The core method here is scenario development. In essence, scenarios are for what purpose?
Well, people use scenarios for different reasons. One, it could be contingency. Let's be ready for a disaster or something bad. What will it look like? Second, it could be for opportunity. What are some different possibilities? Third, in conflict resolution. You see many people fighting because they assume there's only one future. You see that with kids. If you say, well, okay, you're fighting over that toy, what are some alternative futures? You could share the toy. The parent could throw it away. You could buy new toys. You could take turns. It's to get people to think immediately in every situation, what are the alternatives?
So this is really about a range of choices.
Range of choices and a great way to manage risk.
How does it link then to the earlier methods we've been speaking in the earlier pillars, such as the Futurist triangle or CLA?
Well, this manages the depth of information, this manages the width of information. Scenarios capture a different part of reality. So there's 2 or 3 very good techniques. The one I use is called the integrated. That we ask first, what's your preferred scenario? So one group said we want a green, ecological, gender partnership city.
Which could have come out of a poll on the Futurist triangle.
It could have, exactly. Then we ask, what's disowned? The disowned future is what people are unable to see, the other worldview. And the other worldview that came out was, well, we're not talking about power or money. Then the integrated is, okay, how do we make sure a green city has the ability to be financially viable? So those 3 emerge by asking question 1, you're preferred, you're disowned, and you're integrated. And the 4th part of that is, what's the outlier? What's the unknown unknown? That comes from emerging issues analysis.
So this is more about stepping outside of what we don't know a little bit.
Yes. Now the other scenario technique is what's called organizational. What's the best case? What's the worst case? What's business as usual? Again, what's the outlier? All are meant to do the same thing. I'm going on a particular path. Let me open it up. Let me look at options. Let me be future flexible. So one, it's a methodology, but it's also a way of thinking. Always asking, what's the alternative? What's the alternative?
So the transformational component here is really then holding these different potential futures in awareness and in our consciousness.
Yeah. You may still choose, here's where you wish to go, but one, you looked at the options. But scenarios are more than options. Each scenario is a lived possible world. So we do something called incasting. What's the visible characteristic of that?
So this is the structure of the
scenario. So we could use CLA. What's the litany? What's the system? What's the dominant worldview? What's the story? And I always ask, what's a day in the life of that person? Because I want it lived. So if I ask the CEO or a worker or someone in the organization, what does your day look like?
So as I come up with these different alternatives, whether by different participants within the workshop, the different results that have come out of the earlier methods, we can actually populate these different scenarios and hold them as all equally legitimate futures.
That's crucial. Because the mistake everyone wants does is tell us a likelihood.
So this is almost like the forecasted certainty.
Yes, and we're saying, well, in fact, you want to have different futures so it's more robust. And you don't want to get trapped into this will be likely. It may look likely today, but imagine if 5 years of new technology or economic issues. Suddenly what was likely 5 years ago looks very unlikely today. So it's really authentic alternatives.
Have you got any examples or case studies where people have not necessarily done scenarios before doing some of the more deepening work method like CLA?
Well, then they have scenarios, but they don't have the power of transformation.
What do you mean?
Well, they don't tell the story. They don't have a metaphor what it looks like. So it's just 4 different alternatives, but no one buys into it. They can't see themselves in that future.
Is that a bit of an intellectualizing?
Yeah, I think it's a technical construct which may be useful for the scenario writer, but it doesn't capture the imagination of the public, your board of directors, and people who will be influenced by it. Scenarios are meant to be deeper engagement. They're not just meant to be artificial constructs.
Or technocratic.
No.
So in essence what I'm hearing is that the pillar of creating alternatives is very much leveraging off the earlier pillars which really challenge our story and our worldviews.
Yeah.
And to do it prior to that might be a little bit, leave us only at the systemic or the litany.
What happens is if you start with scenarios without doing emerging issues analysis or Futurist triangle or CLA, you get scenarios based on today. And they're very safe.
So then that just gets carried into the future.
Yeah. So it's based on today's drivers. here's what will emerge. If you use the other methods, you get pushed into breadth and deepened.
Okay.